Developing an enterprise project, producing and implementing. So we're looking at the waterfall model here once again, and the stage we are looking at right now is producing and implementing. The stage now when we're building a system and going to be installing it into the enterprise we've been developing it for. So let's take a look at what the actual focus of this stage is. So at this stage, a project manager selects the best solution based on feasibility and requirements. And that was all done in the previous stage, okay, of designing and planning. The chosen solution is critically assessed and developed during this phase and installed into the environment the system has been requested for. So we know what idea we're going to go ahead with, but we still need to make sure, okay, with our clients and with our users that it's going to meet their requirements. All right, so there is a lot of project management still happening and tweaking of our idea to ensure it suits their actual needs, but also will work well once it's actually installed into their working environment. So on the producing side, we're talking about the creation, coding, or construction of a system's components based on design specifications to ensure functionality and readiness for deployment. Okay, so we're actually building the system that they need that will work in their working environment. And then the second part of this is the implementation part, the process of actually deploying the system and integrating the system within its intended environments. Okay, so we're installing the environment, we're setting up the hardware and software, we're ensuring that it's integrated with other technologies that they have working there, okay, and actually will work in the environment we've been developing it for, ensuring it operates effectively and meets user requirements. So that's what's going on at this stage. We're building the system and we're installing it into the work environments. So let's have a look. What steps are involved in accordance with our enterprise computing syllabus? Well, firstly, it's about applying tools to inform the requirements and limitations of the enterprise system. So this involves a lot of project management techniques. Once again, your surveys and interviews, as well as graphical formats and diagrammic formats. Okay, in order to map out the system and ensure users have an understanding of what the system will be. Okay, often prior before we build it. All right, so they can have input and final tweaks can be made before we actually do start developing it. The next point is we're going to actually explore and apply the most suitable development approach or approaches. They can be used in combinations with each other to develop, modify, and implement the enterprise system. So the actual building process. So we've been looking at right now the waterfall model, which is that structured approach where we go through a system development process in sequence, with each stage feeding into the next stage in a sequential format. But there are other methods too, that of outsourcing or the agile approach and prototyping, okay, which all can be used in different ways and are all different methods for developing a system. And essentially, we want to pick the most suitable one, which aligns best with the project we are developing and the needs of the enterprise we are developing for. And then the final point here is focused on implementation, and that is the development of an implementation plan. Now, not just the plan itself, but also testing its feasibility. Does this implementation plan actually work for implementing a system into an enterprise environment? So we need to test its feasibility. Okay, is it realistic? Do we have enough finances to actually install the plan in this way? Is the time frame large enough? Is it going to take the enterprise staff, okay, out of working for too long of a period? So we need to ensure that prior to setting up an implementation plan, okay, that we know that it's going to be feasible, okay, and correlate with an enterprise's workflow as well as the amount of investment into resources they're putting into this development process. So I hope this video is helping you understand this third stage of development, that of producing and implementing. Okay, that we're actually building the system at this stage and installing it into an enterprise environment. And that once again, we need to gather data and use tools to ensure that the selected solution we're going ahead with meets the needs of our users and the enterprise we're developing for, that we select an appropriate development approach that correlates with our time frame and finances of the enterprise and how we're going to actually get it into their workplace and what structured approach or other means we're going to use in order to get it in there. And then finally, developing an implementation plan that has been tested and is ensured that it is feasible and meets the needs of the enterprise, okay, so that it correlates with their workflow and hopefully can get the system into their working environment efficiently and effectively in best way possible.